Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brief moment of silence to remember 9/11. Thank you. Okay, welcome to our September 11th Selectmen's meeting of 2019. We have one appointment. We have Mr. Wayne Robinson here from our Parks and Rec to discuss a vehicle purchase.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. I know you guys have copies of what I submitted. I got another one that came in Tuesday morning. So I've got that for a copy for you if you'd like that. I reached out to 7 different companies and had response from 3. And talked to everybody that I talked to. I let them know how imperative was that we were looking to do something, and still only heard back from 3. So those 3 are all apples to apples. You've got the half-ton and 3/4-ton prices there.
So I missed the first part of this, but you're looking for a Parks and Rec vehicle, and that's gonna be, the funds are coming from your fund account, that when people go on trips, it builds up over time, and that's built up for 20 years?
Anyways,
So
at least. It's more than that.
And we've talked about it for years, that you should have a town vehicle over there to do, whether it's the ski or the baseball stuff or whatever. We've always been supportive of it. We've talked about it. Last year, I think we ended up, we had you in line, and then code enforcement, highway, transfer station, everyone got vehicles but we ran out of money on you, but I think this is a great alternative as far as the funding. It's not taxpayer money, it's being generated out of Parks and Rec users are purchasing it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the scope of use of your vehicle? What do you...
We'll be using it, doing trash runs, picking up supplies, uniforms, going to continuing ed, just to do work back and forth from the office down to the ball fields, doing work around down there. I've been borrowing the highway department truck quite a bit for the last month, and between myself and my office help, we've been using it a lot lately, and it's just hauling tools, everything else. I mean, we could use it. I've used Brock's truck a lot, and would get a lot of use out of it.
Now, you're proposing a plow.
And the ski trips as well. Yeah.
You're proposing a plow in this also.
I am, yes, yeah.
So you're thinking 3/4 ton?
I am thinking 3/4 ton because of that. And I'm proposing a plow because to help with our facility, because in the past it's been, we were last, which, I'm out there with a snow blower and snow blowing it or shoveling or whatever, but at times there was a lot more to it than that. And down the road, if something happens at the ball field, we'll be able to use it down there at that facility, as well as if Brock, the highway department, got in a jam, we'd have that to be able to at least help with the parking lots.
And you're doing the before school program now too, so you need your lot done even sooner than.
Yeah, we're there at 6 o'clock every
6
morning
o'clock.
now.
So if highway doesn't get to you till 7, that's a problem for drop-offs.
So I'd like to think that we confirm what Ken just said. This is totally fundraising money. It's not it won't be taxed. It won't come out of the warrant or the next March money. It's already money that's in your account from fundraising.
Money that we've raised, zero
Raised
from
yourself.
taxpayers.
Zero from taxpayers.
From the program rates.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's $103,000 in that right now, a little
That's
over.
awesome.
And we had talked about, when Teresa was here a while ago, that we need to keep that down, not let it get that high either, so.
Yeah,
the auditors had said something.
The auditors would be happy to see us spending it on a purpose that they need and would otherwise become out of the tax rate, and in this way it doesn't affect the tax rate.
So what's your flavor on the ones here?
Well, I was hoping you guys would.
I-
I'm leaning towards, so the GMC is nice. That's a extended cab. Well, they call it double cab now. The Dodge, what they have is they don't have the interim. It's a crew cab. It's already a crew cab. It gives us more room and it's less money than the GMC. The quote that I got, finally, Irwin got back to me on Tuesday morning, and there for the Ford 3/4 ton, it's a couple $100 less than the Dodge. The Dodge is, for that couple $100 that it would be less, I think we might be better off going with the Dodge. Just one reason is that if there's any service work, warranty work, anything like that, the company that we're looking to buy it from is right in Rochester. And it would be much easier to work with them that way. The local, I'm all for trying to give it to the local companies that are closer. It's gonna be easier for us to get there, and those were the two cheapest ones.
Well, I'll speak on it because I actually know a little about this particular one. It is the bottom of the barrel, but it's the toughest truck of them. It's called the Tradesman, correct?
Yes.
And the Tradesman is not anything fancy whatsoever. It's a contractor truck. It's made of suspension. It's all in heavy duty.
Yep. I think it's got power locks, power windows, some things
They all come
in chrome, but it's all standard. If you were to get some with the rebates and whatnot that are out there right now, you're better off buying something that has a little bit of extras on it than it would be to order something with just vinyl floor, bench seat, power,
but the Tradesman-
non-power windows or anything. And that Dodge actually is a leftover, so that is an 18.
An 18.
That is an 18, but it's a
this is
new
the price,
18.
36,701
Yes, that's with the plow.
with the plow.
Yeah.
But the Tradesman is the workhorse of the Dodge truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm.
They're all pretty close in price. The GMC's a few $1,000s more.
I like the Tradesman.
I like them both. I was hoping that someone on the commission would make a better recommendation than me at the meeting the other night, but they left it up to me.
So you like either the GMC or, well, the GMC doesn't have the quad cab, right?
Correct. It's not a full. It's not a full crew like yeah.
No, you definitely need the Ford.
Yeah, because when the ski trips that we do every Friday night, we have all their equipment that we haul in the back, plus all their bags that we've been putting in the back seat of my truck until half of last year when I did use the highway truck. So that, the more space we have for that is
Might
gonna
work
be
out
much
to
better.
get an enclosed trailer or something someday.
Yeah, and I
Stuff
guess
that in
the bus coordinator sent me a picture. A couple of their new buses have storage underneath now, so I don't know what it has. I don't think it has storage to put skis, but at
Yeah.
least the bags will fit. So if we went that direction with them,
Well, I will say that the Ram Tradesman, and the reason why I know is because I own one, and they stand behind it. Everything about it. I haven't had any callbacks on it.
Did you get it from that dealer in Rochester?
Yes.
you
Yep.
did,
From Poulin?
yeah.
Yeah. I can't say
I
enough
called-
good things about it.
I called Kevy. Someone from the commission did, and he didn't get back to us. Some of them are busy. I mean, I understand that, but
I'm a
You know
little
what?
disappointed you got such a better deal than I did.
I was surprised at the price. Even the price on the GMC is
Did you
really,
buy a leftover?
really good price.
I bought the same truck. And I didn't, I paid more, I didn't get the crew cab,
didn't
and I
get the
paid
crew
more
cab.
than he's paying right now, and I got a single cab.
Did you get a plow?
Yep,
So they're getting like 17 miles per gallon. Is that what
Yes,
they're
that's what
getting?
I'm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm getting in mind too. So it's
it's not the greatest by all
when I
means.
called looking for one, the necessities were 4-wheel drive, automatic, a sprayed-in liner, and a trailer hitch. That's what the big deal was, an automatic. But other than that, that's what I told everyone. That's the only thing that was important.
Other than driving to King Pine or Gunstock, though, and some training, most of your use of this will
It's going to be in town.
local.
Most of it will be. Yeah.
I won't deny that it's probably not the greatest gas thing by all means, but I don't think any of the trucks in the 2500 is much difference between them.
No. I'm surprised they're getting that much.
Yeah, I'm probably getting 15 miles, but I'm probably a little different on the pedal than he will be in a town vehicle, so.
Okay, I'm sure, the question will probably come up to one of us is like, well, what's gonna happen after the vehicle's purchased?
Mhm.
Where does the gas come from? Where does the maintenance come from? Oil changes?
Yep, so we already have a line in our general budget for the fuel that we use and mileage.
Mileage reimbursement.
So both of those lines, we really technically, we wouldn't, I wouldn't imagine we'll have to get reimbursed at all for mileage if we have that vehicle.
Okay, yeah.
So in the fuel line that's in there now, we just use that, we should be able to run.
You wanna flip-flop some of the money from mileage, just keep $1 in that to keep it open, and then
And then
move
put
it
the
to
rest of it to the other one.
fuel.
And as far as maintenance goes, we shouldn't run into anything for
Oil change.
3 years anyways.
3 years.
3 years, anyway, you have a warranty, before when we were thinking we were gonna just try to find something used for less money, but, you
No,
get
it
the
makes
warranty,
sense.
it makes sense to do this.
Is this something the highway department could do the oil changes for you, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Save money that way.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
easy.
mean,
Cause you wanna
I-
do the proper oil
I
changes,
do
whatever
use it
the,
too.
whatever the
yeah, I think,
recommended maintenance is, so that we keep the warranty in good shape.
yeah, I mean, I could even do it myself if if it came to it.
Yeah, it's not done.
It's not a big deal to do it as long as we had a spot to do it. And our bay is full all winter with the bus, so there's no room in there to even walk around it, even for Tony to get around the bus.
No, I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah,
just for-
no,
for
yeah,
the general
definitely.
public.
So we already had those lines, we've had those lines since we had the bus, we've had those 2 lines in there for mileage and fuel. And usually the fuel that we're using now, when we use it, it comes out of the programs that we take it in, take the money in from, the fuel goes back out of that as well. So, if we're using it for the ski program, the ski program's gonna pay for the fuel, the times that we use it for that as well.
So the only thing it does cost the town is just registering it and insuring it.
And putting our logos on.
And
But I
we
could
put-
probably get that out of the same line as well.
We pay a
revolver.
flat rate for vehicle,
Insurance.
Yeah, so that's good,
it's like
good.
$400 or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless of what, and we have full replacement insurance, so.
All right, do we need a motion
Yeah.
for the
I'll
Dodge?
make the motion to push him towards the 2,500 tradesman crew cab 4x4 for 36,701 with plow.
Well, this isn't a push, this is,
You're right.
Yeah.
this is, he's gonna buy it.
Then that's,
All right,
then
so
that's the
you-
motion.
All right. You gonna second that, Kenny, you want to?
I was gonna relax on the number just in case there was title and tax or something,
Is that not the number?
He told me that's the number. He sent me a separate email with
Then
it.
you
I
get to
just
the
printed
room.
out the
When you
win.
go in the room and they push this and
I
that.
probably have it on my phone still
Yeah.
too.
And
But
no-
Should
no
I
undercounting.
change that
I was
and
gonna round it to
Mhm.
the high, no, not to exceed.
not to exceed 37?
What was it, 36?
36,701.
No more than 37.
Okay, I'll make that. I'll change that
You
to,
amend
to,
the
to,
motion?
I'll just amend it to not exceed the 37,000,
I'll give you a little.
Mhm.
Okay,
in case you have to register or
second
whatever.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Good job, Wayne.
Good job, Wayne.
Thank you. Good night.
You too.
We're having them sign a purchase order for you.
Okay. Perfect. I will be in touch with them tomorrow. Thank you.
You got it.
Okay,
Just, and I'll
and
attach,
this will be part of the motion too.
yep, and I'll attach one of these to it so that we have it for the auditors.
Okay, unscheduled matters, public comment. Do we have
I'm
any?
the only public here tonight.
Yeah,
I see that the Heritage Commission CLG grant is on the agenda here, so I'd like to speak to that.
mhm,
I could talk all night about why I feel that this is a crazy use of public money to spend $18,000 to x-ray the dirt in Turntable Park so we can draw a map of where some old buildings used to stay. But it seems to me that it's kind of a done deal, so I'm not gonna beat that. And it's also a fact that it is not property tax dollars is funding it. The public should be aware of that this was a grant from the federal government that came down to the state. I mean, our roads are crumbling, our bridges are getting red listed, and we're spending $18,000 to x-ray the dirt. Okay, so be it. But my concern is that in the grant application, there were some things said that trouble me. And I think I don't think the selectmen have neglected their duties, or the town administrator, or anything like that. I'm not here to get after anybody that way, but my concern is that the grant application says that x-raying the dirt over there, or this archaeological survey, as it's called, is phase one of a three-part thing, and it's phase two. Let me just read you a little bit from it here. The Heritage Commission's objective in this grant is to assess the potential resource occurrence within Turntable Park with particular focus on locations to be used for building relocation. And if you read further down the grant application, this was generated by the Heritage Commission. It says Eversource has agreed to donate this building, the old B&M Freight House, which now is located across the street. Building to be moved to Turntable Park at our expense. We need to determine where to place the building on this parcel based on the archaeological survey. Phase two will involve the moving of the building and locating it on the parcel. Now, these are the words from the grant document. And then phase three talks about completing restoration and creating a repository for our many artifacts and ephemera that relate to the railroad. So, you know, there's some good things to this, and I won't say that it's totally wrong. My concern is that I know that our selectmen, our administration is very much in favor of transparency.
Mhm.
I do not believe that the public was ever involved in any decision-making, nor do I believe that the selectmen have ever been involved in any decision-making about moving a building to...
I can speak to this a little bit,
Okay.
because I do have some knowledge of this. The building itself, that phase two, that might not happen,
You're right,
because
that's a fact.
we technically, we do not own that land.
And cannot own it. The state is no
Yeah.
longer selling
Right.
those to.
So that might not happen, and they'd already gotten the, approval for this grant, for the layout. And that, if anything, they're gonna be able to, like, make a map of what used to be there. So as far as the buildings getting moved or anything like that, none of that's taking place. That would come to us anyway,
Yes.
but we don't even own the land, so.
Right.
We'd have to get permission from them to do it.
Technically, we don't even have, the original long-term lease expired in May of 2017. So it just keeps going on until a new one takes its place. But I spoke to Chris Gamache at another meeting probably a month ago, and he said that, because I was interested in obtaining another long-term lease,
Mhm.
because we do, we
We
mow
use
it,
yeah.
we use it on Pride, it's a very integral part of the community, and especially Sanbornville. And so I'm concerned about us continuing to, whatever the ongoing liability is, of continuing to have programs there and not really even have a long-term lease. And Chris Gamache told me that it's unlikely I'll even get another long-term lease. In the interim, what they're going to probably offer us is a 3-year special use permit. And I think, just my personal opinion, and it's the board's decision, and Heritage Commission, I'm sure, will make a recommendation. But I think if all we're getting is a 3-year special use permit, I wouldn't want to put more buildings on that, because that says that, if the state ever decides they want to reclaim it, we would have to move the buildings off, which means
If we
finding
want to save them.
a place. And right now, the reason I think it hasn't come before the board, and it's only gone before Heritage so far, and I don't believe even the Heritage Commission has actually voted on moving the building yet.
No,
We did a walkthrough with Eversource, probably last summer, and then we did a walkthrough with Joe Kinney and Chris Gamache and Eversource over across the street, but they haven't voted on actually taking it. My understanding is also though that if they do decide to move it and the board ever were willing to take it, it isn't even taxpayers' money that would do the move. It's the Beth McCrory money that again is not taxpayers' money. It was a bequeath to the Heritage Commission for their use. So
I was gonna say, how do we spend taxpayers' money on something we don't own? Right? So,
No,
that would
grant.
that
like
would
I
be
say,
the ask.
phase two might not even be able to happen.
yeah.
But I also think that, you know, I understand Mr. Miller's position, and I'm sure a lot of taxpayers feel that same way. I think it's worth, and I have right along thought it was worth doing the archaeological study, the A1 archaeological study, because I think it's important for us to understand what is underneath that property. Because Parks and Rec uses it, you know, people drive trucks on it. If there are empty tanks under there that you could drive over and could collapse, we need to know that. Not just from a historical standpoint, but from a safety standpoint of, you know, we use it for many things, and the Lions Club works on the little stage over there, and we just want to make sure that whatever use we put it to, we're being safe and conscientious about it, so.
So the grant money, it's money that's coming from the state, not from
It's
taxpayers
it's
of
actually-
town.
It's actually federal money that passes
Federal
through
money.
to the state
Right.
through New Hampshire Historic Preservation.
And if we don't spend it, somebody else will spend it on something else, right?
Yeah, but I think it's earmarked for certain things.
It is.
These historic preservation projects, it's not like it could be earmarked for a bridge
I understand
or,
that. Yeah.
not this
No,
particular
I understand that
pot
part of
money,
it.
though.
I'm just saying, if
Yeah.
if it doesn't come to us, it's going to somebody else's, somebody else's heritage.
Somebody's historic preservation project, and it's, you know, it's an $18,500 grant.
Just seems funny for dirt study. I'll agree with you there, but no,
Yeah,
I'm okay
it's,
with it.
you know, these are the things that
Yep.
are out there.
Yep.
You know, we wrote a letter to the governor for
Yep,
bridge money. We got a response.
Yep.
We have no money.
yep. We have no money, and they're
We're
giving
not
this
the only
away.
ones that don't have money, because the budget's still in default. You know, he vetoed the budget, so we're still waiting.
Yeah.
We can't get a tax rate until he clears up the revenue sharing, so
Can I,
it's an issue.
One more, Jim.
I have another minute, please?
Yes.
Jim. These are great points, and I agree with them. I'm not really, you know, trying to saying there's any wrongdoing here, but my concern is, you know, this grant application was representing the town, and it's the people that are reading this in Washington or wherever it is. There's been misrepresentations here as if these things are going to happen, and I don't understand why the people and the selectmen weren't involved first to even decide if we want to, you know, do this type of a project before we start applying for money as part of phase one. And I'll end up with one last thing, which I've already brought up, but and it's I understand this is a done deal, okay? But the same people who wrote these words, if you look at the last line on page 5, it clearly states, should the aforementioned lease not be executed, the grant request must be withdrawn. It doesn't say maybe, it doesn't say should be, it doesn't say might be, it says must. And that's being ignored by, not by the town administrator, I have no issue with anything like that. But I mean, when you say your word, you know, when you're telling people you're gonna do something, and you haven't even talked to the people of the town. And I think the only thing that I would like to promote as a learning experience from this is perhaps the selectmen, when you have a commission or something like this, it's applying for grants and so forth, perhaps you might have a good look at the application, and at all the words in the application before it goes out. And that was just a suggestion. And I don't,
Oh,
I'm
no,
not, you know, saying there's wrongdoing on the part of the selectmen or anything like that, but
No,
I think,
your point's valid, Jim, and that was the point that I believe Kelly had made when this all came about, is about the lease. The lease of the land was very important to this whole process.
I think that's why it got written into the application, because I think even the Heritage Commission, while they want this probably more than the average person, because they understand the uniqueness of it and the importance of it, I think that they also understood that there's no sense putting good money after bad. But here's the deal. While those were conditions that were written in the application, they were not picked up by the state in the actual grant. There is no place in the grant that says one of the conditions is that we get the lease. They dropped that condition, even though we had it in the application. So it is not a condition of the grant. It was a condition we were willing to give them in the application, and the state did not pick it up in the grant. So it's not like we signed something and now we're reneging on an agreement. It didn't get picked up in the grant app, or in the grant document.
That's a fact, that's absolutely correct. I read the acknowledgement of the grant that came, the agreement, and she's absolutely spot on that is not a requirement. So I guess you can ignore what you put in there, or not the selectmen, but whoever wrote it.
But again, it's not a done deal. The actual moving of the building, I think everybody sees some value in doing the study.
Yes. And I agree with that.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Thanks.
Well,
That's
well
second.
noted.
That's in our unfinished business, Heritage Commission CLG grant.
So the grant was awarded, it's gone to Governor and Council, and so
Yeah.
I have the contract from the person that's actually doing, the actual archaeologist.
Yeah.
And so it's a standard, scope
Mhm.
of work, and then we added our, insurance requirement, and she provided the appropriate insurance certificate.
Yep.
So-
I've seen it.
All right.
Yeah, you need to make a motion, it's just you, right?
Yeah,
Make a motion to authorize the chair to sign it.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye. You spend it, Mr. Duffy.
All right, so we got that out of the way. Next on the agenda, we have the New Hampshire DOT work zone agreement.
So you had a public hearing on the work that's gonna be done to shut down 16 to do the work on the railroad crossing just below the Irving station. I've never seen one of these, so I took a look at it and I made sure, I was a little concerned about C. The department as of April 1st, 2013 will only compensate the use of police officers that have successfully completed the New Hampshire DOT course on the safe and effective use of law enforcement and work zones. I wanted to make sure that if John detailed anybody out there, that we got reimbursed for it, because
Yeah.
the taxpayers shouldn't have to pay for that detail
Correct.
since it's a DOT project. So they said they copied John on it, but I also sent a copy over and had a conversation with him about, I'm sure the guys he uses have this certification, or he won't use them. But I wanted to make sure, that was the only thing that I really think is in our purview and would significantly impact us. And I think you heard her say that they use flaggers or police as necessary, or and a combination of signage and live flagging. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys, we knew where we were with that, and that John was aware of it. So
Good point.
that was my only, I don't think you have any choice. They're gonna do
They're
this
gonna do it,
work,
yeah.
it needs to be done.
Yeah.
We wanna make sure it's up to code. I guess it'll
Yeah.
make the railroad crossing safer. I kinda think it's a no-brainer.
Good point.
And I think, is this also
I
just
think
for,
that's also just to.
yeah, authorized municipal. So if you guys could vote in this too,
Authorizing the sign.
authorize the chair to sign.
So-
Make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
It'll be all over form.
Thank you.
All right. We have no new business.
No new business.
All right, we got some capital reserve expenditures. We got $5,926.81 for the technology fund.
No, that's the current balance. We're requesting 5,600.
Oh, then I wrote the wrong number and that's why he's reading it.
Okay, it's, we have 5,600 requested. We'll have a balance of $326.81. And this is for the police department laptop replacements.
Yeah, so we have a lease for all the desktops, but the laptops get bought out of the technology fund. So they've already purchased these. We coded it to the wrong, so we're kind of just reclassifying these to the capital reserve fund, which is where
Do we have
that.
anything else in line for the technology fund this year?
Your 3 laptops and the PD3 there were 6 laptops
Okay,
purchased
I
this
know,
year.
but, So we're pretty much done with.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because we only have 326.
I'll make a motion for the 5,600 requested for the laptops.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. This is a
We have
good one.
another capital reserve fund expenditure for the highway road projects. And this is the paving on Acton Ridge Road, Dearborn Road, and Dallas Ridge Road. This is for $199,779.91, and with a balance of $103,234.22.
Well, they are done, and it's nice to have new pavement, so I'll make a motion to spend it.
And there's gonna be one more bill coming for around 10,000. and
Yeah,
that'll
that's
be-
for.
The sides.
And that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, so $199,779.91. I'll make a motion to spend it.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Being on roads there, I got a complaint from someone on Harmony Drive about their pavement. Can you bring that up to Brock, we'll go look at it.
That's the one down off 16.
No, I'm sorry, it's the one behind Max's, it's at Whippoorwill, I'm sorry. Whippoorwill, I'm sorry.
That would
I had
make,
Harmony in my mind because we were talking about that earlier.
okay, Whippoorwill Drive.
Excuse me.
Complaint?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send them out
One of
there.
the residents here feels it, hasn't been attended to in quite some time, but I haven't been down in a while.
Okay.
Invasive species, EPF.
So Bellevue has asked for their 2019 funding.
Okay, this is for Bella Lake. The amount requested is $10,000. We still have 10,308, and that's probably gonna go to one of the others, isn't it?
I think did we raise a little?
32 or something, I don't quite remember. I don't know who has
I
it.
think there was a couple thousand left in that, as I
Mhm.
recall, because we level funded everybody.
Yeah.
So I think we have a little bit of a buffer just in case something happens,
No, that's
but
good then.
Yeah.
I think we'll finish up the year once everybody gets their request with a couple hundred, or a couple thousand left in there.
I'll make the motion to extend that.
All right,
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, correspondence, we got something from the New Hampshire DRA for Jose Harselman.
So the Department of Revenue basically wants us to give them our data we've never done this before, and I don't have a strong opinion, Cindy didn't have a strong opinion, she just noted that we have not provided this before.
Is this like the overlays or?
Yeah, it's kind of putting everything at DRA's fingertips as well. I mean, our maps are available online, people can look up their stuff. It's basically providing that same municipal parcel assessing information to the Department of Revenue. I know that in this day and age, some people have privacy issues,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, some of these programs you can't opt out of, so I don't know if anybody feels strongly about this or not.
It's all out there now.
It pretty much is. Between Google Earth and, all the mapping programs, you really can.
Yeah, we have all our assessing maps and.
Yeah, and I think it's, for people who want to self-service themselves, it's nice to be able to go out and look at your own stuff.
Right.
But you can do that through our stuff. You don't necessarily have to go to DRA. I think DRA is trying to build a statewide database of everybody's GIS information.
Well, as long as there's not a cost for us to provide it to them, I don't have.
Not today, but next year, who knows?
Well, they should be able to, with the GIS, they should be able to just tap into that and
Yep.
send them a file, right?
So this is telling us that they now have more ability to look at what you're doing in your own area? Is that how I'm taking this?
No,
It's
it's just
basically
the
mapping, yeah.
It's
the map.
mapping, so they're not looking at you, they're just mapping, showing your land? I mean, I'm not quite sure I understand that.
I think they're just looking for our data.
Yeah.
Each
The
year, the
database.
Department of Revenue requests that municipalities submit their updated copies of their digital parcel maps and CAMA data files for inclusion. So the CAMA
Which is
data
all
files would
public
be like the
knowledge.
zoning, the zoning map or wetlands mapping.
Which is all public
Which
knowledge
is all
anyway.
part of the mapping, right,
Okay.
and, this is a quick process, typically takes less than 5 minutes, attached, please find the format and instructions. You know, if we can't do this easily, we won't do it, we
Yeah.
don't, none of us need another job to do, but if we can participate and
Yep.
it helps them build a database, I don't really have a strong opinion about it, and if you guys don't. I just, before we do something new like this, I like you to know,
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
you're okay with it?
Yeah, it's not, Kenny was saying, it's just a database, and we can do it easily, no problem, it's
Okay.
gonna be a cost.
Yeah, no cost.
Okay. Greater Wakefield Resource Center sent their minutes and financials, you guys get a chance to look at that?
Yep.
Okay. Eversource, upcoming work,
So Eversource is doing some pole
Did we
work.
sign a pole
They're
agreement
replacing
license
16
now?
existing wooden poles with weathering steel poles and constructing a new line from 15 poles adjacent to the existing line. All this work will take place within the power line corridor between Rhines Road and Sangerville substation.
that was brought up at the last meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or a couple
They
of
said they
them.
were gonna do it. I had not seen pole permits for any of this
Mm.
work though, and I thought,
Do you do those if they're in a right of way and not on the side of the town's road right away?
I
Because
don't
these
know.
are in a corridor, they're not in the town's right of way, it's not in the road.
Right, but I thought, don't we tax permits and conduits, or poles and conduits, so,
Yeah, it's on the utility side.
yeah.
We can look into
I'll
that.
ask and see
Yeah.
if they, I mean, even if they did it as a, all
Courtesy.
in one and
Yeah.
just put the number,
Here comes all our favorite letter, Charter Communications, upcoming charges. And it looks like they're going to be raising the receiver rate by 49 cents, the digital adapter by $2 per adapter. TV Select will be increased by $7.50, TV Silver $7.50, and TV Gold $7.50. Yeah, that's it.
I'm against it all. And,
It's,
uh,
To
that's,
enhance our services in order to offer more entertainment and communication choices.
Well, thanks for enhancing our services, that sounds good to me.
And deliver the best value to our customers.
well,
Done deal.
I'm glad for the customers, but I'm still
Without
disappointed that they still haven't complied to what their agreement was right from the beginning they started in this community.
They were supposed to have, everybody was supposed to.
Everybody was supposed to have it.
You going to Grassroots Cable, wasn't that the
I-
first company?
Yeah,
Yeah,
That has something.
that, to be honest with you, that was
That
better.
was the better company?
Yeah, that was better than what we got now.
somebody told me they just bought a house, one of our employees actually just bought a house, and his wife works from home and needs Wi-Fi, and they told him it would be like 3 months before he could get Wi-Fi at his house. It's like November or December.
they told me it'd be not 3 months, it'd be 15,000, and I said, well, yeah, right,
They went 5,000 just for an estimate from me.
yeah.
Who is our representative up there anyway?
What do you mean?
Because I used to be able to call up Rodney King
Oh,
any
yeah.
time of the day.
You're kidding, right? His name wasn't.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
name, it was
Yeah.
his name.
It was.
Yeah.
So our person now just changed, her name is Jennifer DeChant.
Oh, it's not the other woman there?
No, it's a new one, probably 6 months ago. I have not, I can get her on the phone, and I can get her by email, but the issue's never, so somewhere almost a year ago now, they changed our service address to Brookfield because 03872 comes up as both Sangerville and Brookfield. So all the towns' service address got changed to Brookfield, New Hampshire. So Michelle, of course, being right on it, calls them and they said, well, you must have moved.
Yeah.
And we said, yeah, it's a town hall, it's been here only 200 years. You must have requested it and you moved. And we're like, no. And so then residents started trickling in because theirs got changed, and they were concerned because if there's an issue or an outage, do you believe I'm in Brookfield? Because I'm not. I'm in Sanbornville or... So I have been working with Jennifer DeChant for over 6 months, and just made the complaint again, and she said, let me see what I can do about it. And nothing has been done. It hasn't been fixed. It hasn't been put back to Sanbornville. All our bills still say Brookfield. Residents come in all the time with Brookfield addresses. It's a little disturbing. I will be happy to provide her contact information
Yes,
to
you
you.
can email that. I'd love
Yep.
to talk to her.
That'd be awesome.
Because I'm right on board with Charlie. They never fixed that. I've had residents, there was a resident right here on the road right here that crosses over to 109 there. Right off of Rhines Road. What's the name of that road? I don't know.
Randall, the one across Fellows?
Fellows Road. Fellows Road. Lived right on Fellows Road. The pole's right there, and they told me he couldn't have service. So I called them up at that time and got that fixed. So,
You can call for me.
yeah, I will.
I've got to say, I've called for some
Call for
residents.
Kenny.
Kenny
They-
doesn't want it.
The one complaint I got a lot when I first started here was about they had upped the, so a lot of the summer residents shut their service off and then re-up it. So, and it was a nominal fee, 10 or 15 bucks to do it. Or
$25.
now it's like 65
What, per month?
to shut it off. And so it used to be worth it to pay $15 to shut it off and $15 to turn it on. It was $30 a year. But then it went up to, it was either 35 or 65.
They don't charge you now. They just give you a lower monthly fee because that's what I do at the cottage.
Well, the resident that had it got billed $65, and she was not happy because she can't afford it. And so I called, and they credited that, and I haven't heard of anybody else doing that. And I've had a few other people that have gotten charged for equipment that they said they brought back, and they had U.S. Postal Service notes. So I have pretty good luck with some things,
Yeah.
and other things not so much. I
Okay.
can't get my own
Yeah, I'd
address
like to talk to her. I
corrected.
haven't been involved in that in a
Yep.
while, and I'd like to shake a few.
I'll make sure you have I'll give you her email and her phone number.
Good for you.
Public comment number 2.
Well, keep,
Yes, sir.
go ahead.
We have a
He beat
gentleman
you.
that hasn't spoken.
Yeah, I just wanted to support what Jim Miller said about the grant, and that's why I mentioned about a year ago about a grant review committee. It's helped the county out drastically. The delegation has the authority to create a grant review committee. And what it did is it brought the commissioners and the delegation together to talk about any grant that comes through. So if a department head comes to the county commissioners and says, for instance, the sheriff wants the towers, the new tower system put up, he comes in and says, I'm going to apply for a grant. And then it triggers the grant review committee. They meet, they talk about it, and they understand. Because you get caught with things, obviously you've redlined this grant, and there's things that not everybody knew, and that should be vetted out. Up at the county, the sheriff's towers had a stipulation in it about the local planning boards that the tower is sitting upon is going to have all this extra site plans and stuff, and that costs money. So that wasn't necessarily talked about in the grant review committee, but it should have been, because it was in the grant. It's just an idea to do that, to have
Who actually participates in this grant review? Do they have?
It's an appointed committee, so it's
Mhm.
the appointing authority is the commissioner, since the commissioners has it. You would be the appointing authority, and then that person, the committee has its own minutes, they review it, and then they give you a report. I'm trying to do a pretty complicated hazard mitigation and emergency management, emergency plan for Brookfield. It's a federal grant, and it's very difficult to review federal grants, and I noticed that said federal grant, so I'm sure there's stuff in there that the state didn't even know about. So that said, about the cable channel. Next week, September 18th, you're having Carroll County Broadband here in this room between 10 a.m. and 12 noon. So that's September 18th, and they're going to talk about getting more hardwired broadband cable wires and stuff put up. Apparently, the group has found out that there is a lot of fiber already up. It's just not terminated anywhere, because there's a whole issue about how you terminate things to a pole and the rules and everything else. So that has to be worked out. But I just want to tell you, because that committee is asking me to come here and tell you that the people, that there will be a meeting next week. So it's the 18th, 10 to 12 noon.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up because I'm your liaison
Yeah.
to that committee.
There you go. So I did it for you. Thank you.
Good job.
All right. Okay.
I will say too that I just found out today that the Greater Wakefield Resource Center is working on a federal grant for more money for that building, and if we take more money for that building, we
Oh,
would
yeah.
not be able
Clock
to
starts over.
do anything with it. Mr. Kenny, Joe Kenny is working on a grant. Victor Becker told me today, and I was totally unaware of that. I think Al Chip and
Rent for what now?
for the Greater Wakefield Resource Center
Oh, no.
for completion of the second floor and an office space.
All
And I'm
right, yeah, well,
assuming
I
that,
think we
I'm
should be
assuming that
involved in
that grant will have to come to you to
Yeah.
sign off because
Yeah,
we own the
exactly.
building. But I was a little disconcerted on the way I found out about that because I was pretty sure none of you were aware of it.
I like the committee idea.
That's, you know, in the scheme of things, that was always like, Mr. Miller alluded to earlier, there was a phased approach to that building.
Right,
But-
there's been two
but-
phases.
Yeah, the two phase, that was actually the third phase, if I remember right, doing the upstairs. But that being said, you know, that the whole idea of that building hasn't really been,
No, because I
Like
went
a
back and
fruition?
I went back and looked at the two previous grants and all the letters of support that were written. Very few, if any, of those letters, you know, it was supposed to be fuel assistance, weatherization. I believe one of the visiting nurses associations. We're going to take space, which, you know, when you think about it, if you are a low income or you're a needy family and you need fuel assistance and you don't have a car, how do you get to Conway or Ossipee or wherever the CAP office is? So it made sense that if we could bring those players to town once a week, once a month, whatever, it's one of the barriers to accessing these low income services. But none of those, out of the letters I saw written, very few. I would say that 90% of those never came to fruition.
no, I know.
And the
yeah.
space isn't taken, and now the downstairs space is gone, so they'd have to create more offices, and I'm not sure any of those agencies, you know, there would probably be other people looking for office space, but it wouldn't be necessarily those agencies, so, and there is because of these grants we've taken, there is a low income component to this. We can't, you know, just open it up for wedding receptions and not honor that low income component, and not be in trouble with the grants that we've applied for, so, I think that it's not just about having a grant committee to look at the grants, it's also to have an ongoing committee to make sure we're living up, you know, there's stewardship plans that have, all of these, no free money is free. All of these all of these grants require stewardship plans, and some of them require them from our office that I've never even been aware of. So I get a call and, you know, you need to update your well, what are you talking about? You know, so,
Well, thank you for saying that.
it needs
because
to
I
be
can
an
tell you right now,
ongoing-
there is no free money.
nope, free money isn't free.
That's right.
All right, let's move on. What do you got for us for an update?
So, I believe it was your last meeting, we had a letter from a Mr. Murphy who has just recently bought a piece of property. And he is looking to log, so he bought two pieces of property, one with a house on it. And one is landlocked and can only be accessed either through our transfer station or, and I can send this all to you electronically too. I didn't get this letter till Monday, and the packets had already gone out. So he has one piece of property that has his house on it, and then he has another piece of property, I believe it's almost 10 acres, that he wants to log. And his thinking on that is he wants to make enough money off the logging to improve the property to have horses on his house lot. We wrote a letter suggesting that he go back to the railroad and ask, you know, permission to cross the railroad because it kind of makes more sense than driving through a transfer station, for obvious reasons. The amount of traffic we have in the transfer station, it would not be conducive to sharing with logging trucks during any of our open hours. And we're open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we have waste management in there on part of the day on Thursday. So that limits his logging operation to Tuesday and Thursday, which I don't think, and we have some of the same concerns that the railroad would have. He would have to build a landing. Those logging trucks are heavy. We have pavement in the transfer station. It's a commercial operation which the taxpayers have already paid for. I think at bare minimum, you would need a bond to guarantee he doesn't damage anything in our transfer station, and you would be potentially giving logging trucks unfettered access to your transfer station when it's closed. So that all being said, I would strongly recommend that you perhaps send this to the town attorney. One of the things I put in your package was some of the laws that dictate this, and it says that the selectmen can set out an easement across private property, but this isn't private property, it's public property. And then if you look under the hard road to travel, I did the couple of pages on the right of way for lumber removal.
Yep.
And they basically said in their final paragraph of that, a question arises about timber removal. Right-of-ways under the statute is available only to a landowner whose property is landlocked or has no other legal access. However, the statute itself says that the owner can petition for lumber removal when it becomes necessary for convenient removal. The right-of-way is forced upon the landowner, so that is that a illegal taking? And based on the constitutionality of this, they strongly suggest you go to your municipal town attorney. I think we would have insurance liability issues. I think we would have commercial operation issues. And I think that laying out a right-of-way for logging trucks, even for a short term, I'm not sure that it's really gonna be worth it for this gentleman.
Well, I don't know if it's gonna be worth it with all the money that we're putting into that transfer station and that the roads get torn up, and you know as well as I do that the logging trucks can tear that up by, I'm not against logging by all means.
Well, and
but-
my question would be, has he talked to a logger? Because I'm not sure a logger would ever be interested in logging this with the conditions we would have to set on it. Because the new way we've done that, it's all one way going down. He'd have to go down that edge and then swing around. I don't see that a logging operation is gonna be interested in logging Tuesdays. I mean, they could cut in there maybe more, but at the end of the day, they could only haul on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'm not sure if a logging operation would want those kind of constraints.
Is there other options for them to get to the, where he's got to, or is his
Not
only
without
option
crossing.
is through the transfer station?
Transfer station or crossing the railroad tracks. There's
And
other
what did
places.
what did the railroad say to him?
They required a landing, which we would require too. You can't just skid stuff out, and so he said it was. His letter says it's basically cost. There's already a viable. He says there's already a viable road back there and an access point. Yeah, by accessing the pavement on our transfer station.
I'm all about helping, but I'm not into helping where it destroys.
And he says, we realize our property is landlocked by the railroad tracks to the east and the river to the south and west. So he has, it's railroad tracks, river, transfer station.
Build a temporary bridge across the railroad.
Well, that's what they
That's what they said, but they said it would be cost prohibitive, basically. But I don't think ours would be any less cost prohibitive, is what I'm saying. I would defer to the town attorney on what would be a reasonable bond to post for this. And again, it would still have conditions on access on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. That's the only day we're really not, and I can't see a logging operation.
Working 2 days a week.
Well, no, I don't see them they're in it they've gotta make money for it to be worth doing for them. And if they could only access it on Tuesdays and Tuesday and Wednesdays, I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's already got somebody on the hook for this.
Kenneth, what do you feel about that way? That's your project down there.
Well, I mean, if you limited it to Tuesday and Wednesday, I think you'd have to have staff down there as well. Open the gate, close the gate, get them through and stuff like
Because people
that.
will be wanting to use the dump.
Yeah, you can't open the gate and leave it open.
No.
How do you feel about that as in the destruction of your project?
I'd tell them, I mean, if the railroad gave them an option, they have to build a landing and cross it and then probably take the crossing out. Sounds good to me.
For the railroad?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
Use your option.
Yeah, there's your option. Okay, I'll second that.
Well, it's even, you know, like, you going through the transfer station, he's still gonna have to do something. He's gonna have to clear, because who owns 7?
Yeah, for
I
some
think
reason the
we own
maps aren't coming up.
everything, we own everything up
59,
to the,
58, 7.
yeah.
So he's gonna have to make a logging path through there.
He says that there's a pretty good road in there from when they set the power lines, but I don't think that that's,
Well, then it'd be in PSNH's right away, skidding
Yeah.
up through there.
yeah,
That's
and
what
I
I'm
don't,
saying, he'd have to
Yeah,
clear.
if he has an option to cross the railroad tracks, then utilize that.
yeah,
It
and
may-
most
it may be
logging
cost
operations will
prohibitive,
build the
but-
land, I mean, if there's enough money to be made, a logging operation will build the landing and take the landing out. I've seen that in other towns. I'm just not sure there's enough, I don't know what wood is in, you know, whether it's valuable wood and whether there's enough of it. I mean, I think he needs to do some more research on his
Yep.
end.
Yeah, because he's just saying, you know, that there'd be a cost for that, but he hasn't given us a figure how much it's gonna cost him for that, so really we don't even, and if there's a hardship, and I'm sure he's gonna be making money off this logging operation too. so-
Well, that's what he said, he wants to make enough money off the logging operation to improve the other lot so he can run his horses on the other lot.
Right.
I'd like to help him, but this isn't about, you know, working something out between two private landowners. This is a commercial operation that is very complex. And it's paid for by the taxpayers, so they
Yeah.
shouldn't be out any money under any circumstances, so we have to figure that out. So do you want me to write a letter back to him stating that we really believe that you should explore the option more with the railroad and with a potential logger and let them tell you what's doable and not, because
Yeah,
we feel that the liability and the disruption of our commercial operation just isn't conducive to this project at this time.
mm-hmm.
And are you okay with me signing that letter?
No.
Just to get it
Just
out?
what you said, yeah.
Okay. And I'll run it by Rick just to make sure.
I don't understand, this all could be play here. I mean, looks like this one here. That's the power lines, right?
Yeah,
So they run right across
that's what he
the
thinks the
property.
road is, but the river is what?
So
So
what I'm
wait,
saying,
house
why can't he
lines.
come over through here? Whoever owns this. And go after them, I mean, that looks like it's a clearer shot than anything,
Yeah, I think
without
I
it.
think he's thinking that because we're already a commercial operation, it would be pretty easy to just drive down the back of the but it's not as easy as, and Brock has a lot of misgivings about it for obvious reasons.
Mhm.
Oh, I do, it's just because we're spending all this money down there, I don't want it to be destroyed, so.
So I have an offer from a law firm. The town of Franconia is adopting a comprehensive ordinance regulating access to public rights of way for wireless facilities. So they changed the whole wireless facility, and each town is gonna have to adopt some kind of ordinance to regulate those rights of way. And this DTC is willing to do it for all the municipalities and split the cost among however many towns. So I've been watching it on the town administrator's login, and I think it might be worth it for us to get on the ground floor of this, so that we have a comprehensive public right-of-way ordinance.
They were
And-
our attorney when we redid the cable.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're kind of known for that. But I think if, right now it looks like there's about 30 towns involved, and, their price is $175 an hour for an associate and $195 for a partner, $115 for paralegals. If 30 or 40 towns get in on this, we could get this ordinance written for pretty cheap money rather than going it alone with, and I sent it to Rick Sager because I asked him if he had any experience doing this, and he's willing to do it for us, but why would we do it on our own, and why wait until it's an issue? We could have a draft ordinance. I don't know, it's up to you guys. We can sit around and wait and try to steal the ordinance from somebody once they get one written. but it seems a little, I think all towns are gonna have to have it. And it seems like the old ordinances are not going to do the trick anymore. The old RSA 231-159 is no longer sufficient. And furthermore, planning and zoning laws and procedures no longer apply to certain wireless deployments. I think the reason a bunch of towns are soliciting this right now is to protect them so that they don't wind up the capital of the wireless tower.
Well, I would let them know, you know, they want a response by September 14th. I'd like to read through this a little bit more.
Okay,
You know, just tell them, you know, we just got this and
okay.
we need a little bit of time.
Yeah, it just came on my radar this week, so
Yeah.
I will, get you a little more information, cause there's some places to go to get it, and
Yeah.
I'll agenda it for next time,
Okay,
and just let them know that we may still be interested, we just can't pull the trigger.
okay.
So, we talked about the church, has a facilities use for our opera house.
Mhm.
I think they're having a singer at the end of this month and a movie in October. So they approached me about running the lights and sound for that, and I don't really have anybody. Gabe used to do that for us, and he's in California most of the time now. There was a kid that did it for Scamp, his name was Cameron. I'm just concerned because the last time Scamp did it, they changed some stuff that worked for them, and then Gabe came in to do the budget committee meeting, and a bunch of stuff had been changed, and he didn't know it had been changed and didn't know how he changed it. So I don't have anybody that can do this. Clearview doesn't have anybody that does this regularly. They can hire somebody to do it, but it's our equipment, and what concerns me is without a building and grounds person to oversee this, I can't have somebody in here with sound and lights and then have a budget committee meeting on Tuesday night and nobody can operate the sound and lights because something got changed. So I'm happy to do what we've been doing in the past and you know, issue a key to the sound system to Cameron or to, I think there's a guy, Lance. But I just want to make sure that the agency that is using the room understands that nothing can be changed without the town's permission, and anything that gets used needs to be put back the way they found it. Because we don't really have anybody. Tony and I don't know how to run that system. We can't lug tables or sound equipment around. It's too heavy for us. So I understand, you know, Mr. Schweitzer wants a definitive answer and a list of things he has to do. We gave him the facilities use, which is pretty clear. You waive the fee, but they're on their own for the sound system, and it can't be changed because we have other things that are gonna be reliant on that sound and lighting system.
Well, when we talked about this, didn't we say that if there's a budget meeting that it's gonna
Right.
conflict with it, that they would have to reschedule?
Right, but their stuff is on what, Sunday?
Yeah, I don't think she means it's the same night. She
No,
means that if
I
they
mean-
use it and then we have our budget meeting and the thing's not working.
And we don't know what they did, you
Yeah.
know, it all has to be left the way they found it. Is
I'm in
my
agreement with
only
that.
stipulation on that, because I don't have anybody to fix it.
You got it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay. I need next Friday off. I'm having surgery, so I have
Oh, my God.
it's just a day surgery. I'll be back on Monday.
Should be available by Monday.
You guys all set with
Yeah.
this? Let me make a motion on that.
Friday the 20th. And then I have some ambulance write-offs, and I just brought you some last time, but I have some more because I had a hardship request. And then I have a couple that are going to Experience. So there's $7,247 to write off, including one hardship, and $572.02 to go to Experian. And that would leave us with a balance of about 16,000.
That's owed to us?
16,000 that is on the disposition report. A lot more is owed us, but that is, so what happens is ComStar sends two bills 30 days apart. And if they don't get a response, either in a payment or an explanation or a request for hardship, then they send it to me on a disposition report and they say, these people have been billed and they haven't paid and they haven't answered. So every month that I get a disposition report, I write 2 more letters, 30 days apart, and ask them to please contact me and tell me if there's some compelling reason they can't pay. And then if we have a social security number for them and they don't contact us, we send it to the credit bureau. And then sometimes they do call us and file hardship. You have never had a hardship abatement that you have not honored. We just want them to talk to us about it so that, you know, so that we collect what we can collect from insurances. And you know, I have one right now that a law firm in Massachusetts wrote me a letter and said they're going after for a car accident. So I put that one on hold because they say that that's part of what they're asking for from the law firm. I have a couple of people that are on payment plans and they send $100 a month or $25 a month. And then, you know, I have these.
It seems like we get one of these every meeting.
Yep.
Potentially.
You get a motion for that amount.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the broadband meeting is here next Thursday, the
Mhm.
18th. Thursday? Wednesday?
I think it's Wednesday.
Wednesday. And it is true that in doing some looking at broadband, a lot of towns have a lot more broadband in their town than they think, and it's not all in use. The issue with the regard to the inventory is whether it's 6-pair or 12-pair cable though. Not everything can be used because there's not enough pairs left on it to use. So that is the next piece in inventorying this is what kind of cable is it and what can it be used for. And the companies that use it, like Consolidated, are pretty cagey about not telling, they
What
don't,
you got?
yeah, it's proprietary information to them because they can sell that service to the town, so they don't want to disclose to other services how much of it there is in your town and who owns it, so.
I make a motion for Charlie to attend the meeting on Wednesday.
I'm already
about his cable bill.
I'm already going, and
We
Mr.
want him to
Miller
get
is
the
the
full
alternative if I'm not available.
I'm probably gonna make that one.
Yeah.
It's here.
Okay.
I've been busy filming a lot.
Bring your camera.
That's all I
Yeah.
have.
Good job.
Okay. Now we got tax collectors monthly report. You have a chance to do that.
Yep.
All right, we'll go with that.
Yep.
Building permit releases. I saw we had 2.
You do have to.
Okay. We need a motion for.
I'll make a motion to, for Water Village
LLC.
Drive LLC,
Okay,
Village
that's,
right away.
Village right away.
Book 2249, page 0685.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion for the 94 Buttercup, Level Lakes Heights Road, Level Heights Road.
Okay, I'll second that one. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, payment manifest. Yeah,
Yep,
right?
I'm
These
seeing
are
it.
gonna be painful.
What?
These are school payments.
I thought we just gave him $1 million.
Every month.
All right, got a treasurer's payroll warrant for $1,329.64.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Treasurer's payroll warrant for $90,433.01.
So moved.
I'll second that one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Another treasurer's warrant. Yeah, it's the one we don't want. For $1,152,134.53.
What happens if we deny that?
The kids become uneducated.
Is that how it works?
Eventually, you shut down the Paul School.
Just seems like, gee, my God, we spend so much money.
Mr. Chairman, can you read the amount again, please?
It's $1,152,134.53.
Did that sink? Because it sinks in with us.
My stomach's something.
Yeah, I know. What are you gonna do? I mean, my goodness.
Get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And let's see, we got.
Hopefully
treasurer's warrant.
someday it'll get better.
Pays out.
This one's,
Voided check.
yeah, it's a voided check.
Yeah, 'cause it's minus.
Yeah, for a negative $531.97.
I'll make the motion to accept the voided check.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Second it, please.
Yep.
Board minutes. We've got,
I guess I got them all. Yeah, I got them all,
we have the minutes of 0828, 093, and 094.
They look good as always. I will make a motion to accept them all.
Second.
Okay, so you're accepting, is this just the public
The
minutes?
public minutes.
The public
yeah.
minutes, yep.
Okay, these are
Okay,
non-public here.
it's at 9:03. No, I'm giving you to end.
828, 93, and
There
94.
you go,
828 or 821?
8:28.
Where is that one?
You already sent it to me. You have it. Kenny's got 8:28 in his hand.
Oh, okay, all right. That is a non-public one too, right?
No,
No, it doesn't?
No, the
No,
non-public
those are
says
just
next.
non-public.
All right. Did we vote on that yet?
Nope.
No.
I believe we did. All right.
I'm not even sure who seconded.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then you have 3 non-publics from 8:28, numbers 1, 2, and 3.
I will make a motion to accept the non-publics for August 28th, 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Mr. Duffy, will you sign this one, please?
Thank you. Then you have sealed, but I'll wait until you're done with that.
Yeah, you put these stickies on here, and I signed up on page.
I think I did the same thing.
We don't sign the sticky side?
Yeah,
Yep.
we do.
Oh.
I just, okay, so we have the
Here, Ken, you.
two three non-publics that are sealed.
8:28, 4, 5, and 6.
Yep. Oh, sorry, 828 being,
I'll make a motion to accept the non-public sealed minutes.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And 1 sealed set from September 4th.
I'll make a motion to accept the sealed minutes for September 24th? 4th.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good job, Tony.
Thank you, sir.
Keeps us all in.
Wicked. I don't know how she does it. That's a lot of writing.
All right. Selectmen's work session.
I'm good this week.
Okay. All set?
Good, yep.
All right. Don't need a non-public, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
So Tony updated the